I never thought I'd be the kind of woman sitting in a lawyer's office at 32, watching my marriage dissolve like sugar in hot water. But there I was, hands folded in my lap, listening to my husband Marcus tell me through his attorney that he was going to take everything. Laura, he said, leaning back in that expensive chair he'd bought last year. The one I'd told him we couldn't afford. The house. The business. Even your little savings account your grandmother left you. His lawyer, a shark in a three-piece suit named Richard Blumenthal, smiled like this was just another Tuesday. And maybe for him it was. But for me, it was the moment I realized the man I'd loved for 8 years had become someone I didn't recognize at all. We'd met at a community college fundraiser. I was 24, working 2 jobs and finishing my business degree at night. Marcus was 27, charming, ambitious, and so confident it felt contagious. He sold medical equipment and had dreams of starting his own distribution company. He talked about the future like it was a place we were already living in, not something we had to build. I fell for that vision. I fell for him. 6 months later, we were married in a small ceremony at my parents' church in Ohio. My mom cried. My dad gave Marcus a firm handshake and told him to take care of his little girl. Marcus promised he would. He looked my father right in the eye and promised. The first few years were good. We lived in a tiny apartment above a bakery, and every morning smelled like fresh bread. Marcus worked long hours, and so did I. I'd taken a job as an office manager at a logistics company while he built his client base. We were a team. When he came home exhausted, I'd massage his shoulders. When I had a rough day, he'd order my favorite Thai food and we'd watch old movies until I laughed again. Then, 3 years into our marriage, his big break came. A contract with a hospital network. Suddenly, money wasn't tight anymore. We moved into a real house, a beautiful two-story in a neighborhood with tree-lined streets and families that barbecued on weekends. I planted roses in the front yard. Marcus bought a new truck. That's when I suggested we go into business together. I've been thinking, I said one night over dinner. You're great at sales, but the back office stuff is drowning you. Let me help. I can handle the books, the invoicing, operations. We could be partners. He looked at me across the table, and something in his eyes flickered pride, maybe, or gratitude. You do that? Of course. We're a team, right? So I quit my job. I threw myself into his business like it was my own child. I restructured his entire filing system, negotiated better rates with suppliers, automated invoicing, hired a part-time assistant. Within a year, revenue doubled. Within 2, we were landing contracts Marcus had only dreamed about. But I made one mistake. One critical, stupid mistake. When we formalized the business as an LLC, Marcus said he'd handle the paperwork. You're already doing so much, babe, he told me. Let me take care of the legal stuff. I trusted him. I signed where he told me to sign. I didn't read the fine print. And when the documents were filed, the business was in his name. Only his name. I wasn't listed as a co-owner. I wasn't listed as anything. I was just his wife, the woman who worked 60-hour weeks to build his empire. I didn't realize any of this until the divorce. The unraveling started small. Late nights that became later. Business trips that felt too frequent. A new cologne. A password on his phone. I told myself I was being paranoid. Marriage ebbs and flows, right? People get busy, distracted. Then I found the credit card bill. It was buried in a stack of mail I was sorting for the business. A card I didn't recognize, in his name, linked to an account I'd never seen. Charges at hotels, restaurants I'd never been to, a jewelry store. I sat at the kitchen table staring at that bill for an hour. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the paper. When Marcus came home that night, I was waiting. What's this? I slid the bill across the table. He barely glanced at it. Work expenses. Work expenses? At the Belmont Hotel? At Cartier? Client gifts. You wouldn't understand. Try me. That's when his face changed. The warmth I used to see there was gone, replaced by something cold and cutting. You want to do this now? Fine. I've been seeing someone. Her name's Jessica. She's 26. She's an account executive. And she actually appreciates what I've built. I felt the air leave my lungs. What you've built? Marcus, we built this together. He laughed. Actually laughed. You did some admin work, Laura. Filed some papers. Answered some emails. Don't confuse that with what I did. I made the sales. I landed the clients. You were just support staff. Support staff. I'd given him 8 years. I'd given him my 20s. I'd sacrificed my own career, my own ambitions, to lift his. And he called me support staff. I want a divorce, I said quietly. Good, he replied. So do I. That was 4 months ago. Now, sitting in this conference room with his lawyer laying out their demands, I understood just how calculated Marcus had been. As you can see, Blumenthal said, sliding a document across the table. Mr. Reeves is the sole owner of Reeves Medical Solutions. Mrs. Reeves has no legal claim to the business or its assets. Furthermore, the marital home was purchased primarily with funds from Mr. Reeves' business accounts. We're prepared to offer Mrs. Reeves a modest settlement, $30,000 in exchange for a clean break. I looked at my lawyer, Patricia Chen. She was 50-something, sharp as a blade, and had come highly recommended by a friend. She didn't flinch. 30,000, I repeated. For 8 years of marriage and 4 years of building that business. Marcus leaned forward. You didn't build anything, Laura. You helped. There's a difference, is there? Yeah, there is. And if you want to fight this, go ahead. But I have the best lawyer in the city. You have. He glanced at Patricia dismissively. Her? You'll run out of money long before I do. So take the deal. Walk away. Move on. I felt something crack inside me. Not break, crack. Like ice before it shatters, I stood up. I need a minute. Patricia followed me into the hallway. They're going to steamroll you, I said, my voice tight. He's right. I can't afford a long legal battle. He'll bury me. Patricia crossed her arms. Laura, I need to ask you something. Do you have any proof, any documentation of your involvement in the business? Emails, memos, financial records, anything that shows your contributions? I thought about it. I mean, I have access to the business email. I set up the whole system. And I have files, spreadsheets, client notes, contracts I drafted. Her eyes sharpened. Do you still have access? I think so. He hasn't changed the passwords yet. Then go home. Download everything. Every email, every file, every record you can find. And don't tell anyone you're doing it. That night, I sat at my laptop in the guest bedroom. I'd been sleeping there for months and logged into the business accounts. Everything was still there. 4 years of emails, contracts I'd negotiated, invoices I'd created, spreadsheets tracking every penny. There were even emails where Marcus explicitly asked me to handle major client communications, to draft proposals, to close deals. Laura, you're way better at this than me. Can you handle the Steedy Vincent account? They love you, babe. I trust you with the numbers. Just make sure we stay profitable. You're the backbone of this company. I couldn't do this without you. I downloaded it all. Thousands of files. I backed them up on 3 separate drives. And then I found something else, buried in Marcus's personal email, which I'd set up years ago and still had access to, was a folder labeled JSN, Jessica Samantha Norton, his girlfriend. I opened it. The affair had been going on for over 2 years. 2 years. Long before he'd asked for a divorce. There were dozens of emails. Some sweet, some explicit, some talking about their future together. And then I found the one that made my blood run cold. Don't worry, babe. I've got everything set up. Laura won't get a dime. My lawyer says once the divorce is final, we can sell the business, take the cash, and start fresh. You and me, just like we planned. He'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. The modest settlement, the hard line in negotiations. It wasn't about fairness. It was about clearing me out so he could run off with his girlfriend and live off the business we built together. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen, and for the first time in months, I smiled. The next morning, I called Patricia. I have everything, I said. Emails, files, records, and more evidence of infidelity. Evidence that he's planning to liquidate the business after the divorce to hide assets. He's been lying about his intentions. There was a pause. Then Patricia laughed, a sharp, satisfied sound. Laura, you beautiful, brilliant woman. Do you know what you just handed me? A case? No, a reckoning. We went back to the negotiating table 2 weeks later. Marcus walked in wearing the same smug expression, the same expensive suit. Jessica wasn't with him. Apparently, even his lawyer had enough sense to keep her out of legal proceedings. But I knew she was waiting somewhere, probably texting him updates, probably already planning how they'd spend my share of the business. I assume you've come to accept the settlement, Blumenthal said as we sat down. Patricia smiled. Not quite. She opened her briefcase and pulled out a thick binder. She slid it across the table. That, she said calmly, is a complete record of Mrs. Reeves' contributions to Reeves Medical Solutions over the past 4 years. Emails showing her direct involvement in client relations, contract negotiations, and business operations. Financial records proving her management of company finances. Testimony from clients and vendors who interacted primarily with her. Blumenthal's smile faltered. He opened the binder, started flipping through it. Marcus leaned over, scanning the pages. His face went pale. Additionally, Patricia continued, we have evidence that Mr. Reeves engaged in a prolonged extramarital affair, which under state law affects asset division. And perhaps most importantly, we have documentation showing that Mr. Reeves plans to sell the business immediately following the divorce, an attempt to hide assets and defraud Mrs. Reeves of her rightful share. She slid another document across the table. An email, the one I'd found, the one where Marcus told Jessica his plan. The room went silent. Marcus's jaw clenched. His eyes flicked to me, and for a moment, I saw something I'd never seen before. Fear. This is inadmissible, Blumenthal stammered. You can't just actually, Patricia said. Since Mrs. Reeves set up and maintained the business email system, and since Mr. Reeves never revoked her access, these records are perfectly admissible. And the personal email? That was a shared account set up during the marriage. Also admissible. Marcus slammed his hand on the table. You went through my emails? Our emails, I said quietly. The account we set up together, remember? You asked me to manage it so you wouldn't miss anything important. His face flushed red. You had no right. I had every right, I said, my voice steady now. I built that business with you, Marcus. I gave you everything, and you tried to take it all away. Blumenthal held up a hand. Let's take a break. We need to review this information. Take all the time you need, Patricia said. But know this. If we go to court, we're not just asking for half the business. We're asking for controlling interest. Mrs. Reeves built the operational infrastructure. She maintained client relationships. She has a stronger claim to the company's success than Mr. Reeves does. And with the evidence of fraud and infidelity, a judge will be very sympathetic. Marcus stood up so fast his chair tipped backward. This is bullshit. You're bluffing. Patricia smiled. Try me. They requested a week to reassess their position. During that week, I didn't hear from Marcus at all, but I heard plenty from other people. First, his assistant called. She'd been with the company for 2 years, and I'd trained her myself. Laura, I just want you to know, whatever you need, I'm on your side. Marcus has been awful lately. We all see it. Then, one of our biggest clients reached out, Mrs. Reeves. I heard about the divorce. I'm sorry, but I want you to know if you start your own company, you'll have my business. You're the one who's always taken care of us. Marcus is just a guy who shows up to shake hands, then another client, and another. By the end of the week, I had emails from 6 major accounts saying the same thing. They'd follow me, not Marcus. I forwarded them all to Patricia. He's about to lose more than just a divorce, she said, when we reconvened. Marcus looked like he hadn't slept. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes were bloodshot. Blumenthal spoke first. We'd like to propose a revised settlement. Go ahead, Patricia said. Mr. Reeves will retain 51% ownership of the business. Mrs. Reeves will receive 49%, plus full control of day-to-day operations. Mr. Reeves will also transfer full ownership of the marital home to Mrs. Reeves and pay her $100,000 in liquid assets. I glanced at Patricia. She raised an eyebrow. Counter-offer, she said. Mrs. Reeves receives 51% ownership. Mr. Reeves retains 49% but has no operational authority. The home, the savings accounts, and $200,000 in liquid assets go to Mrs. Reeves. And Mr. Reeves signs a non-compete agreement preventing him from starting a competing business for 5 years. Marcus exploded. You're trying to destroy me. No, I said, speaking for the first time that day. I'm trying to get what I earned. You didn't earn anything. I made this business. Did you? I leaned forward. Because I have emails from 6 of our top clients saying they'll only work with me. I have records showing I closed 70% of our deals last year. I have vendors who don't even know your name, Marcus. So tell me, what exactly did you build? He stared at me, his mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. You think you can just erase me? I continued. You think you can call me support staff and walk away with everything? I gave you 8 years. I believed in you when no one else did. I worked myself to exhaustion so you could play the big shot. And you repaid me by cheating, lying, and trying to rob me blind. My voice cracked. I hated that it did, but I couldn't stop it. So no, Marcus. You don't get to take everything. You don't get to win. The room was silent. Finally, Blumenthal cleared his throat. My client needs time to consider. He has 24 hours, Patricia said. After that, we file a formal suit and take this to trial. And trust me, you don't want that. Marcus called me that night. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Laura. His voice was hoarse. Please, let's talk. Just you and me. What's there to talk about? I made mistakes. I know that. But destroying me isn't going to fix anything. I'm not destroying you. I'm protecting myself. You're taking everything I built. We built, I corrected. And I'm taking what's fair. There was a long pause. Then, quietly, I loved you, you know, once. I know, I said. I loved you too. But love isn't enough when there's no respect. What do you want from me, Laura? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I lied. Just, please, don't do this. You should have thought of that, I said, before you told me you'd take everything. I hung up the next day. Marcus's lawyer called with their acceptance. I got 51% of the business. The house. $200,000. And Marcus signed the non-compete. When the papers were finalized, Patricia shook my hand. You did it. I nodded. But I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. That was 8 months ago. Today, Reeves Medical Solutions is thriving. I renamed it Hartwell Medical Solutions. Hartwell was my grandmother's maiden name. The woman who left me that savings account Marcus tried to take. The woman who taught me that strength isn't about being loud. It's about being unshakable. Most of our old clients stayed. A few new ones came aboard. Marcus still owns his 49%, but he's a silent partner. He collects his share of the profits and stays out of my way. Last I heard, he and Jessica broke up. Turns out she wasn't interested in sticking around once the money got complicated. I still live in the house with the rose garden. I water those flowers every Sunday morning. And sometimes I think about the woman I was when I planted them, so hopeful, so naive, so sure that love and hard work were enough. I'm not that woman anymore. I'm harder now, sharper, but I'm also freer. My parents visited last month. My dad hugged me on the front porch and said, I'm proud of you, kiddo. I cried. I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear that. People ask me sometimes if I regret the divorce, if I wish things had turned out differently. The truth, I regret that it had to happen. I regret that the man I loved turned into someone I couldn't recognize. I regret the years I lost, the dreams I gave up, the version of myself I set aside. But I don't regret fighting back. Marcus walked into that courtroom thinking he held all the cards. He thought I was weak, dependent, easy to discard. He was wrong. I wasn't the support staff. I was the foundation. And when he tried to tear me down, he discovered just how strong foundations can be. He wanted to take everything from me. Instead, he lost everything that mattered. And me. I'm finally building something that's mine. Not ours. Mine. And no one is ever taking that away from me again. Sometimes, late at night, I sit on my back porch with a glass of wine and look up at the stars. I think about the girl I was at 24, falling in love at that fundraiser. I think about the woman I became at 32, sitting in a lawyer's office, realizing her marriage was over. And I think about the woman I am now, at 33. Scarred, yes. Changed, absolutely. But still here. Still standing. Still fighting. And maybe that's the real victory. Not the business. Not the house. Not the money. But the fact that I didn't let him break me. He tried. God, he tried. But I'm still here. And I'm not going anywhere.